Well, hello YouTube, it's me, Fortmaster, and welcome back to another Game Theory reaction, and I remade Game Lab, but better. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, Game Lab was a YouTube Red series that, like, MatPat made, and it was essentially like Game Theory, but it was, you know, going through, like, game theories, but going, like, doing them in real life. Like, if I remember correctly, one of them was, like, could you actually, like, beat Five Nights at Freddy's? And they had this, like, not obstacle course, but they had, like, a replica of the FNAF 1 location with people in costumes, and Matt, and, like, they had to actually, like, do the FNAF 1 stuff in real life, and then a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't actually know that much about it because I never actually watched. But, I mean, from what I've heard and from what I've seen of it, it is rather popular, or was at the very least. They haven't made, you know, new stuff in a long time. So, yeah, I'm a bit confused with this. So, I mean, when they say remade Game Lab, are they talking about just for, like, this one-off thing, like, take like the basic idea of Game Lab and then for this episode basically work out all the kinks with the more years of experience they have and just make a better version of it for this episode? Or is this like an advertisement for what's going to happen after MatPat leaves? I don't think so, but you never know. So, I mean, yeah, of course, as always, original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will lead to my film theory reaction, and with all that out of the way, let's get this thing actually started then, shall we? And I saw in the thumbnail he was in a tank.
Really got its start with my love of Mythbusters. I wanted to create a show where I could put to the test all the things that I was seeing in video games here in real life. And I got to do that a couple years into the history of the show with projects like Game Lab, with projects like Reality Check. And we did them, and they were awesome, but man, was it a lot of work. And it was
I would imagine, yeah.
Right? So we decided to put it off to the side and just, hey, that was a fun little period in the channel's history. But now here we are, in the middle of my final 10 episodes on the channel, and I'm like, you know what? Let's take a moment to bring it back. So we decided to partner with World of Tanks and bring it back to where it really all began.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, so there was a reason why there was a tank in the thumbnail. Actually, I haven't played World of Tanks in a while. I should probably do that again.
The first ever episode of that format. We are here in the middle of Texas, Uvalde, Texas to be specific.
First ever episode. Huh. Okay.
DriveTanks.com, where today we're gonna test one major question. Can playing a video game actually make a bunch of noobs into professional tank drivers? And even more importantly, can they then successfully fire the gun? So for one final time, guys, welcome to Reality Check!
Do you have your hearing protection on?
Of course I do, I'm not a complete idiot.
Okay. Well, driving, I mean, that's kind of up in the air. I mean, granted, I've never driven a tank. I've played a lot of tank games, though. But, I mean, especially with older ones, when the driving is a bit more esoteric. I mean, like, the stereotypical, like, tank controls is both levers forward, you go straight, put one back, you turn, vice versa, back. But I know, like, even in World War II, there were a number of designs that actually had, you know, steering wheels in them. And of course, as the more advanced the tank gets, the more sophisticated and the more similar to just driving a car it becomes. So, I mean, I would hope so. It'd be like, you'd be at the very least be able to, you know, drive the tank. Firing the gun, that's a very different, like, thing entirely. Because, well, I mean, you saw Gaijin Goomba was on the back of it. And I think that was, what was that, a leopard? No, okay, so he's riding in a Leopard 1 right now. So, I mean, firing the gun, I mean, that I have, like, next to no, like, information on. I know a lot, like, at least with the Sherman, you fired it with a foot pedal, while, like, you controlled it with, like, you, like, controlled the actual gun, like, looking through and turning the turret with, like, hand controls, but it was a foot pedal that would actually, like, fire the gun, and then, you know, it would eject the shell and stuff like that. So, I mean, maybe? I mean, I know there's a reason why, like drone operators have been using video game controllers for a while now to control the drone itself, so You never know.
Idiot.
At this time, you're clear to fire. 3, 2, 1.
Oh yeah, the 76.
Now, to put this
Yeah.
whole thing to the test, I'm gonna need a little bit of help. That's why I reached out and found myself the team of experts that can't be replaced. Bring them on in!
Yeah, Gaijin Goomba. Lee, yep. Ryder, yeah. Jeez.
Oh, you thought I meant experts in driving tanks? No.
No.
I need experts in theorizing. Come on in, guys. Yay!
let's go.
I see you literally every day.
I know.
You are
However, it's been 6 years. Oh, I know,
Hey, how's
right?
it going, buddy? Oh, I'm so little. Long time no see.
Oh man. And you live down the
How you
street.
doing, bud?
How are you guys?
I am surviving.
You
Most
live
importantly,
down the
three of you are in
street.
the middle. The other two, I get a lot of. GG, congratulations on the new channel.
Dude, it's been a week long of being psyched for that, and then this, and then you, and then all this, and I'm just like, yes!
Meanwhile, Drake, you've evolved from trailer Drake to comic Drake.
Yep, been doing comic Drake for 10 years now, this year. Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah,
Right?
Yeah, it's been a long time
So
since
old.
Drake was on this channel.
right. Yeah, we're getting gray. Yeah, going old.
I've been going crazy before YouTube.
Get a lot of
YouTube
bragging
just made it
rights
worse.
there. Well, you're all excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm super pumped.
100%.
Absolutely.
What?
Never mind,
pumped.
it's fine. I'm not excited at all. This is very boring, the idea of shooting tanks.
Yeah, tanks. So for the last week, I have asked these guys to train up in World of Tanks. They've done it, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yes, Professor.
Well, no one can be as excited as Goomba is. Like, that dude has been bouncing off the walls all day for this.
Yeah.
so-
My first ever meme was tank, 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 tank. I mean, come on.
He's excited. I'm ready.
So you guys are all set. You're feeling good
God,
about your World of Tanks.
Oh god, this whole thing, it's just bringing back so many memories. Ah.
Training?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So they're all warmed up. I'm warmed up. Let's get you warmed up about World of Tanks. Let's go, guys.
Let's do it.
And honestly, I can think of no better person to catch you up on the brief history of World of Tanks than Foot of a Ferret himself, former host of A Brief History here on the channel, Ryder.
Thanks, Matt. So, while you might know it from its ads and its sponsorships here on YouTube in recent years, World of Tanks has actually been around since 2010. Developed for the PC by
Yeah.
Wargaming.
It's a very apt name for a development studio that focuses on tanks.
Don't interrupt me. World of Tanks puts you in command of over 800 different tanks from across the last 100 years and places you into tactical battles from real historical locations.
Well, I mean, like 800 tanks. I mean, they've been drawing tanks from like the design sheets for a long while now. I think it's pretty safe to say that they've used up all the tanks that actually like were physically built in the world. At least before the Cold War really hit it off.
You're climbing steep hills, sneaking through forests, and tearing across deserts, all in your trusty tank boys. And since then, World of Tanks has grown into a massive free cross-platform experience.
Which, by the way, you can go and download today using the link in the description, as well as the code GAMETHEORY.
In short, World of Tanks prides itself on realism of tank combat. And that goes beyond just picking out the right munitions and hiding your weak spots. It's also about your crew. You can't just have a good driver and hope to win. No, you also need a fast weapons loader, precise gunner, technically savvy radio operator, and of course, a strong commander that will lead you to victory. It's a crossover of talent that'll ensure that you have the best chance of winning at the end of the day. See what I did there?
Oh, it's so good to have you back, Drake. So, as you can see, World of Tanks isn't just about fulfilling the fantasy of driving big vehicles and blowing stuff up, though that is really cool. It's a tactical experience, all about understanding your crewmates and how these giant vehicles work. Which is why the realism of all this is so important. If you don't understand how the vehicles operate, well, it's gonna mean disaster for both you and your crew.
Yeah, that's World of Tanks. I've played it for years. I think I made my account in like, God, what was it, like 2013 originally? But yeah, World of Tanks has never been about realism. It is very arcadey. That's the one thing I get tired of hearing in the advertisements. If you want a more, I guess, realistic, you go to War Thunder, because unlike World of Tanks where you have the health bar and every time you get shot you lose some health, in War Thunder that's very much The healthier vehicle is how many crew members do you have in your vehicle? If you have enough crew to operate the vehicle, it still moves. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I will have this. I will wholeheartedly say I have a lot more fun in World of Tanks than I do War Thunder.
And that brings us to why we're here today. You see, I've designed a little bit of an experiment for all of our guests that's going to put a lot of things to the test. But to fully break it down, I'm going to toss it off to Lee, our breakdown expert. Lee!
I got this, Matt.
We're all going
This
to be
is just
split up
one
into
giant
three teams of
crossover
two.
episode.
We've got Team Comics with Drake and myself, Team History with Ryder and Goomba, and Team Science with Austin and Matt. Over the past week or so, each pair of us has been playing a different version of World of Tanks. Team Comics is on PC, Team Science has been playing the console version, and then you've got Team History, who have spent the last week playing the console version, but with a twist. Both Xbox and PlayStation offer a service called Remote Play, where so long as you have an internet connection, you can connect to your console remotely and play on your phone or tablet. And because we wanted a wider variety, we got them to play exclusively using their phones to see whether they could keep up with the likes of mainstream consoles or the obviously superior PC.
And so now that everyone's played for 20 hours, we're throwing them into tanks and forcing them to go head-to-head in 2 separate competitions. The first is a driving test, where one member from each team is going to drive the tank through a carefully designed obstacle course. The second round will happen at the shooting range, where each team will be responsible for aiming and firing at a set of targets. Highest accuracy wins. Now, I know this might seem like a bit of a wild experiment. There's no way that playing a video game can train someone to drive 25 tons of pure military power, right? Well, that's what you might think, but there's actually some interesting science behind it.
Did someone say science? Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But Matt is right. The science here is fascinating. We all know what dopamine is, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's the happy hormone. When you do something you enjoy, you get a nice hit of dopamine that makes you feel really good. I'm also sure that most of you that have played video games would say that you feel good while playing them, especially if it's a game you really enjoy. However, dopamine is more than just a happiness hormone. It also plays a major role in your ability to learn. In 2001, a study was conducted on rats where one of the rats had their dopamine neurons stimulated while listening to a specific audio tone, and the other group just listened to the tone with no stimulation. They found that the rats with dopamine neurons stimulated had better recall of the tone than their sadder counterparts.
Basically, dopamine helps you learn, which is why you tend to do better in school if you enjoy the subject more, or do better at your job if you actually enjoy your work, because the dopamine that you receive helps to expand your brain chemistry. And all the way back in 1998, they proved that the amount of dopamine you get from playing video games can match that of someone injecting amphetamines directly into your bloodstream. That is a crazy amount of dopamine.
And it doesn't stop there, because in later years it was shown to be the case in humans too. Since then, there has been study after study showing the effects of video games on both your physical and mental skills, like helping to improve attention and spatial awareness in children and improving hand-eye coordination in the elderly. Heck, video games are now being used to train surgeons how to operate, and probably most important for our purposes today, to give soldiers the chance to practice driving and aiming big military vehicles.
I mean, if it works for a crew of soldiers, theoretically it should be able to work for a bunch of top-tier gamers like us, right? Guess we're about to find out. So really, this isn't just a competition between 6 gamers, it's a test to see how video games can teach us. Can that sweet, sweet dopamine we get from playing games actually prepare us to execute on the real thing? But before we start throwing these guys into tanks, we should probably learn a little bit more about the tanks themselves, which is why we're gonna be talking to Tommy from DriveTanks.com. Tommy, thanks for joining us today. Tommy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've been working with tanks for right around 5 years. I've been with DriveTanks.com for roughly 3.5 years. And I've been working on military vehicles, say, from all the end of World War I all the way to modern day, or as modern as we can be, as the government allows us to be.
Yeah, there's kind of limitation there.
What secret stuff do you have?
Nothing at all. Absolutely nothing. Don't worry about it.
We all play games. We all understand how like first-person shooters and war shooters and this and that work, but actually being able to operate these things in real life and understand how they work is fundamentally different, right? So even down to the basic question, when we hop into that tank, are we driving it with like a steering wheel? Is it levers? What?
Good question. So it depends on the nation of origin, also the time. So for
I mean, what was I literally talking about before?
For instance, like your T-34 and your Sherman, two very famous tanks from World War II, they both drive with what we call tillers or steering sticks. You know, make a left turn, you pull left, you make a right turn, you pull right. But then you have other tanks like the famous Tiger tank actually turns with a steering wheel.
We would actually wind up driving the West German Leopard, which used steering wheel and pedals, making it a whole heck of a lot easier.
What is the top speed of a tank?
So it depends on the tank. So the top speed of a tank, the Guinness Book World Records, is actually the Scorpion tank, which tops out right around 55 miles an hour.
Okay.
Now, World War II tanks, they weren't going as fast, and the reason why is because you had to shoot accurately. And if you're going, say, 30 miles an hour and your gun barrel's bouncing up and down, you know you can't shoot accurately.
Yeah, might not sound all that.
Which, I mean, of course, I mean, the whole thing was, I think, the Sherman in World War II, if memory serves me correctly, was one of the few tanks that actually had like a stabilizer for moving when it was moving. It was only a one-directional one. I think it only worked with the gun's elevation. But from what I heard, like, tank crews hated it, and oftentimes they like turned the thing off because it was just apparently a pain to work with.
That fast, but some of us were feeling a bit apprehensive.
So, I'm scared.
Okay.
Listen, I, among all of us, know what it is to be a gaming expert, but
All of us, yes, very
when
gaming.
you see it in person,
Yeah.
if it all goes out, what exactly am I going to be expecting in terms of like training?
So for training, so say for modern tank training, you'd go to tank school, which is basically you're taught every aspect of the machine, right? You're taught how to drive, you're taught how to gun. Now in World War II, you would also have tank school. Granted, it was a lot more rushed, right? You know,
I mean, you're in the middle of
and
war.
then you're basically going out in the field and you're learning as you go. And then
2 to 3 months at the least, like back then when it was a lot simpler. And these knuckleheads spent 20 hours playing World of Tanks. You know what? I'm both looking forward to and not looking forward to this, seeing how things turn out.
Also in World War II, and you also see this in the movie Fury, where there'd be cases where one of you guys would be injured and they'd just take a random guy and they'd throw him in.
So that's basically us today.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah,
After a week
except
of
you
training,
do
you
it with
got it.
everybody.
Week of playing a video game and like 10 minutes talking to Tommy. We're feeling good?
Ready to go.
Okay, well, let's go meet our tank then.
Okay.
All right.
Also, here, hold it, Ryder.
What? Yeah.
I do want to call this out while they get prepared. Who am I talking to? You?
Hello.
Talking to you. So, Ryder, just for the people at home,
Yeah.
how many times have you driven a car?
Maybe like 8.
8 total?
That might be generous.
That might be an overestimate.
That might be generous. And
okay.
most of it was like 10 years ago when I was getting my license, like 2 years late.
So last year, I taught Ryder how to ride a bike for the first time in his life. I like that I've just skipped the whole driving process and now.
Wait, so he'd never ridden a bike? What? Where did you live, man?
Just throw you in a tank. Life comes at you fast. Okay, here it is. The tank's all revved up. It's time to start the experiment. We're team number 1, Team Science.
We're Team Comics. 1, 2, 3, catchphrase.
There was also Team
Catchphrase.
History, but Ryder was so nervous that he actually forgot to record the intro. Though to be fair, when I got into the tank, I was feeling the same way. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm groping around in the darkness, and there's a wheel, and I think there's a gas pedal. I don't know if there's a brake pedal. We're gonna find out together. It actually took me another 3 minutes of groping around in the dark before I found that brake. Anyway, once I had a handle on the pedals, I got over that nerve.
Well, I mean, you could have easily done that. Duck down, look where you're doing, and then when you find everything, lean back up.
Nervousness very quickly. And just like that, we were off. It was so loud you basically couldn't hear anything we were saying. That and we were trying desperately not to crash. But this course was full
Yeah,
of twists
definitely,
and
of
turns,
course.
hills and dips, really showing off what the tank was capable of. Oh, that's so easy and awesome. I'm surprised at how
Well, I mean, again, the Leopard 1, what is their top speed? I'm forgetting now. I mean, the Leopard 1 specifically was. So I mean, of course you have the protection triangle. You have like the triangle when it comes to, you know, armored vehicles like firepower, armor, and speed. For the Leopard, when it comes to protection, they chose speed over armor. So the Leopard is rather thinly armed comparatively for a main battle tank. 65 kilometers an hour. Yep. I mean, it's from what I've learned when you're talking about like giant machines like this, it doesn't matter how fast you actually go. The only thing that matters is how fast you feel like you're going.
Ooh, it's like a roller coaster going down. Wow! You'd expect a tank to be
that
heavy and
is
slow,
so
but
awesome.
in reality, it was light and super nimble. In fact, it was probably one of the smoothest rides I'd ever been on. All the suspension in this thing, coupled with the treads, made it feel like you were floating on a cloud. After surviving a dip into a small river, going up the banks, and getting some pretty good speed, Team Science was wrapped. Oh yeah, easy every time. Look at that parking job.
Okay, actually, wait a second. I gotta look. Like, this, they said that they were going through, like, drive tanks. How much does this actually cost? It's in Texas, so yeah, that's gonna like shoot up the price. Pricing. I'm actually, because I'm curious now. Yeah, so if you want to drive the Sherman, almost $2,000, and that's American. Drive and shoot the 76 shoot the gun, $3,000. Just shoot the gun, $1,200. Drive the Stug, $2,225. Oh yeah. This is expensive. Like, so they're in the Leopard, so each one of them, it's almost $1,200 just to drive the tank. Though it looked like they were going to be firing the Sherman's gun, so that's, geez, I hope they have the, I mean, okay, so I know, like, especially on bigger YouTube channels, you can make a lot of money if the video does well. Where did the money for this come from? Because, like, that's only the fees for, you know, driving the vehicle. That's not, like, transportation, accommodation, like, all that other sort of stuff that comes about with filming. Though then again, this is also sponsored, so Wargaming probably cover the cost for that as well. Yeah, I could believe that.
There you go! Yes! That was awesome. Now, they told us that the course would probably take us about 8 to 15 minutes to complete. What they didn't realize was that we're a super competitive group. I managed to complete the course in 6 minutes and 44 seconds. Even Ryder, despite being cautious and nearly coming off the track several times, he managed to beat that time with a solid 7 minutes and 40 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, Ryder!
You know, my whole thing is, like, I'd want to do something like this. I'd want to do it, like, so badly. But especially when it comes to, like, older tanks, which are probably the ones I'd want to drive, like the Sherman and the Stug and stuff like that. I'd be worried about even just being able to fit inside the things, because, I mean, you look at them, and a couple of these guys, they're a little hefty around the middle. But I'm also over 6 feet tall, like 6'7", and I'm pretty big around the center myself. So yeah, I'd be afraid whether I'd be able to even fit through the driver's hatch.
Let's go, buddy! But of course, every group has that one guy who's got to push it just a little bit further, even further than the experts were expecting.
Oh my God! We can just go over this, no problem.
Oh, nice jump.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. You said let it rip.
And Let It Rip Drake certainly lived up to the name. I didn't realize that this was possible with a vehicle this heavy, but Drake actually caught air. They were figuratively, and sometimes even literally, flying around the course.
I mean, as I said, the Leopard specifically, it was very much, the whole thing with it was, its protection, if you actually use it in war, was speed, not armor. Actually, thinking about it, going back to the whole, like, triangle for armored vehicles, if you did like speed and armor instead of firepower, would that be like an APC or something?
Coming in with the scorching time of 5 minutes and 49 seconds. 2 whole minutes faster than the experts predicted any of us would be able to do it in, putting them in a solid first place. And we're gonna give them 3 points for that win, leaving Team Science and Team History in second and third place with 2 and 1 point respectively. But despite the competition, when it comes to whether a video game can teach you how to drive a tank, I'd have to say yes. Though to be fair, the system was so easy that if you've ever driven a golf cart, you'd be able to do it too.
Again, this is a more modern system.
As far as that round goes.
Yes.
But
some are
technically,
more winners than others.
the official winners are Team Comics.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did all the work. Yes.
Yes, catchphrase.
Catchphrase indeed. Congratulations.
Ryder, you have successfully poke-evolved into driver.
Nice and slow.
And now we move on to shooting the tanks, yes?
So wait. Driving, shooting, there were 3 round counters there. What's the 3rd round going to be?
So now it's time for us to see who has the best aim. For safety reasons, we couldn't just hop in and start firing off the tank like you would in World of Tanks, but we did manage to devise a system that would allow us to aim and fire the tanks safely. First, we wouldn't be using explosive shells, as they're much harder to control, much more dangerous, obviously, and also the US government wouldn't let us have them. Can't imagine
Yeah,
why.
that's
There's
kind of
not
important,
enough
yeah.
government watch lists at this point. Instead, for the test, we'd be using solid shells, which are exactly what they sound like. Shells made out of solid steel.
Can I touch it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Of course, yeah, that's basically just your, like, the most basic version of a not high explosive, an armor piercing round possible. But I mean, like, I doubt, like, it's actually, like, an armor piercing round. It's probably just, like, literal just iron, or steel, I should say, which, I mean, probably would do some damage if it hit something, but I mean, again, it's a 76mm shell. A lot of modern vehicles have protection against that sort of thing.
That's awesome.
Can I take it home with me?
I wouldn't. Just in case. CSA. I would love to see you see.
Gosh, it's so much heavier than you expected.
Yeah, that's only the penetrator. That's not including the like the propellant or the casing at all.
Another case. So we'll put the 2 inside the tank and then we'll load them together as one piece. But the projectiles themselves, they will go down range, bury themselves, and we'll probably never see them again.
Just because they're so buried in the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Actually, there was a thing I remember watching. Something similar to this. Not like this, but like one of those places where you could pay to fire a big gun or drive a tank or stuff like that. And they had I forget whether it was American or Soviet, but this giant 152mm like shell thing. But the thing was, when it fired, the shell danced all around because the thing was basically hollow and it had like no weight to it, so it didn't have that like stability that the normal shell would have. Man, that looked funny.
Would then help load the cannon and direct the crew on how to aim the shot.
2 cranks down, and then 1 crank to the right. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Once everything was ready and safe,
Oh,
we
they don't
the
even they don't get to do it themselves.
Which is meant to protect us from any potential ammo jams or backfires. Finally, what are we aiming at? Can't exactly fire at another expensive tank from the 1900s, can we? No. Instead, we have ourselves a wall of trucks that just so happen to be sitting in a very familiar location.
I recognize that we're at the Mr. Beast mound of all things.
Yeah. we're following in the footsteps of greatness, clearly.
Yeah.
This right here is where good old Jimmy Beast also fires his tanks. Not all that surprising when it's one of the 2 places in America that you're allowed to fire tanks. In fact, a lot of YouTubers have been in this place recently. Go figure.
Yeah.
Any tips that we need to know that those other guys didn't know?
What can you tell us that you can't tell Mr. Beast?
Oh, no, see, I can't say that.
So we've got ourselves our wall of trucks. Now we'll be ranking each of the shots based on accuracy. 3 points for first place, 2 points for second, and 1 for third. If you miss, you get 0. And with that out of the way...
All right. Are you ready?
I as ready as I can.
I've never shot a gun of any kind, of any size.
Yeah, so now you're
Well,
shooting
this
a
is
tank
straight
cannon.
through big
Okay.
stuff.
Right. It's all downhill from here. How's your aim?
Pretty bad.
Great. We need
I
to
have no
make
idea.
up
We'll
ground.
find out when I pull the ripcord. You know, it actually has like a man.
This I'm not liking so much purely because like it just boils down to the fact that they're not actually aiming it themselves. They're like judging it purely based on where the gun is, and they're telling somebody else to do it. I mean, if you were to do this like actually, you'd have them get in, do the cranking, or you'd have them like aiming down the actual sight and doing it, and then you get out and have them pull the cord. But doing this way, it seems rather fake to me.
Annual crank where you're like, it's not like electronic at all.
We've got to beat Lee and Drake.
What are the points for this? How are we scoring
If you hit it, you get 100 points.
I better get 100 points.
Okay.
Yeah.
We better get 100 points.
All right, you're clear to load.
Loading.
All right. Is everyone good? At this time, you're clear to fire.
All right, 3, 2, 1, fire in the hole.
Yeah, those things are loud.
Did it miss?
No, it went right through the window.
That was awesome.
That freaking rules,
Man, that was awesome.
My like heart is
I can
racing.
feel it in my whole body.
It was like a concussive
And it
blast.
smelled like sulfur. It was beautiful.
Yeah, that's gunpowder for you.
Well, I think it's these guys.
It was all right.
All right,
All right.
You see that?
Listen.
He sniped to the back window.
Yeah,
and
he didn't hit anything.
Yeah.
I hit the window. That's hitting the thing.
Didn't hit.
Listen, we've coordinated on this. We consulted professionals in World of Tanks.
Yeah, okay.
We are going to hit that truck.
Couple cranks to the left, one up. Yeah, we got this.
Yeah, you feel good about your shot?
Couple cranks down, one to the right. That's what we did.
Okay, well, good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you so much. We beat you once, we beat
Best
you again.
man win.
Uh-huh.
All right, at this time, you're clear to fire.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Now, where did that shot go?
There you go.
Go, let's go.
What? They didn't hit. You didn't hit anything.
Listen.
You didn't hit anything.
Listen.
Wait, what?
They didn't hit. You didn't hit anything.
Listen.
You didn't hit.
I mean, I think it went through the window of one of the bottom cars. I think that's what happened. Because you can see it shake.
Anything.
Listen.
What happened to that great aim?
Yeah, well, listen. We won the race. We have to highlight all the former theorists.
Or we're so awesome that we threaded the needle and we're even cooler than them.
That was it.
One, yes,
Yeah,
that one.
yeah.
I think that one.
It's like the Robin Hood arrow through an arrow. I think it's.
Cooler than them.
That was it.
One, yes,
Yeah, I think that's what they did.
It's
Or
like the
wait,
Robin
what?
Hood arrow through an arrow. I think it's even more impressive. We're playing a game of horse.
But it's
Oh, yeah, I think they hit like the frame or something.
even cooler because it's a tank.
Yeah. Ryder, what do you got?
Oh my God! I'm so scared to stand next to this thing right now.
I don't think Goomba's scared. He's
Yeah, like I was supposed to come up here with him, but he's already up there.
No, I'm ready, man.
He's with his baby right
Are you like
now.
testing the wind, finger in the air? I'm guiding the barrel right to the I want to go dead center through the passenger door, dead center. I'll believe when
My
I see
man
it.
is in his element right now. So
Are you gonna be standing
Well,
up?
we'll
Ryder?
have to see how this goes,
I think I'm
Gaijin.
supposed to. I don't want to.
All right.
So-
Well, good luck.
Oh.
Oh,
I
geez.
shake your hand, but I'm too
my
high
God.
up, man. I don't know what to say.
GG, GG. Do you have your hearing protection on?
Of course I do. I'm not a complete idiot.
I did the driving and I thought I conquered tanks, but as soon as that first one went off, I was like, no. That knocked me off my feet.
Yeah, that's a shockwave for you.
All right, at this time, you're clear to fire.
3, 2, 1, fire the hole!
Where'd it? Oh, right through the door. There you go.
That's not the best thing ever. It was so huge.
That was the most insane thing ever. Like,
Did you feel that blast?
that was by far the biggest blast that we've had of any of these.
I'm so jealous of these guys.
So dead.
Yes, he is definitely dead.
And with that, we should probably tally up those final scores. This was a competition after all.
Yes,
so I
of
think
course.
it's clear to say that Team History won the shooting round, so that's 3 points for them. Team Comics, on the other hand, barely managed to scrape the frame of the car, so we're putting them in 3rd place with 1 point, which leaves Team Science in 2nd place with 2. I maintain that the shot through the window is a pretty impressive shot, though I can't deny the solid hit that Goomba was able to do on the body of that car, so I'm gonna be happy with the 2. That means that the scores at the end of all of this are tied. 4s across the board for all of us. I guess that's nice. So despite the game's accuracy to crew breakdowns, speed, and mobility, it doesn't seem like it had that much effect on our overall performance. No one gaming platform stood out, and that makes sense when you think about it. Driving a tank is very similar to just driving a car. You have pedals, you have a wheel, you have a big old crank for aiming. Well, I guess I don't have that in a car, but it's not hard to figure out. So just like
Aim
driving,
the
it's a very
car.
physical activity, which means that getting better is less about mental stimulation and much more about muscle memory. By repeating the same actions over and over again, you activate the same neural pathways repeatedly. Eventually, your brain just gets so used to doing that action, it more or less becomes subconscious. And it's in those moments that you're able to react faster and push the speed because your body just intuitively understands what it's supposed to be doing. Playing on a phone, a controller, a keyboard, it's not really going to give you that muscle memory to be able to transfer the skill. If anything,
car,
your confidence
yeah.
as a car driver, that's the thing that's going to help you more than playing a game.
But here's the thing, Matt. Very soon, that may not be the case.
What do you mean, Gigi?
Well, you see, there's a brand new breed of tank on the horizon. And rather than using all the levers, pedals, and steering wheels that we use today, this guy instead uses a simple Xbox controller. Yeah, that's right. A 35-ton piece of machinery is controlled by this. And if you take a look at the inside, you'll realize there's no windows, just a bunch of cameras and monitors, racer chairs, and headsets. It's literally a military-grade gamer paradise, but what's even more interesting is that it allows for a buildup of that crucial muscle memory. In fact, when prototypes were tested with young adults from Gen Z, they found that what would have taken days of real training in a traditional tank took these gamers just 4 hours. But most importantly of all, it's just safer. While we all had fun driving around these giant machines for the day, war isn't fun. It's serious business with real human lives at stake. And tools like this, controlling a drone tank like you would a video game, well, it helps keep human lives out of the line of fire when people are forced to engage in any form of necessary conflict.
Thanks for that, Goomba. Very well said.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, our long day of shooting tanks has come to a close. I gotta ask, what did we all learn here today? Starting with Drake, go for it.
I learned that we all need to hang out more often if we're gonna be doing this.
I learned that I like tanks far too much. Far too much. This is an absolute heaven. I'm so thankful you brought me out here for this, man.
I learned that actually aiming a tank is way harder than I thought it would be.
Especially when you're doing it in third person like you guys are doing.
Lee, break it down for us. What is it?
I learned that World of Tanks is an excellent video game that you should go download right now. The link is in the description.
I've had it downloaded for years.
So thank you so much to World of Tanks. Thank you to DriveTanks.com. But most importantly, thank you to you guys.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Thank you for not just coming in today, but also for 13 years.
Of course.
It's good seeing you, man.
So good seeing you. Hey, how about we do this again, not for content?
Yeah.
Oh, the memories.
Make it a little yearly thing.
Yeah, make it a yearly thing to fire off a tank gun.
I think we can successfully say that World of Tanks has gotten itself a reality check. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching! Got him! I got you! That was good.
God. Again, I would love to do this so much. Granted, I wish that they had actually gotten inside the tank and like used the sights and actually aimed the gun themselves instead of kind of going, hey, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, you know, that sort of stuff. You know, the one thing that annoys me with all of this, with all of these like wargaming ads, like World of Tanks, World of Warship, stuff like that, is that these like special deals have absolutely nothing for anybody who's already playing the game. Like, I could, like, you know, make a new account if I wanted to, but why would I do that? I have, like, again, I've been playing the game on the same account since about, like, 2013. There's a lot of history, a lot of tanks, and a lot of money in that account. Truthfully, I have spent way too much money on that game. But, oh god, yeah. I mean, that was a fun video. I mean, I wish I could do stuff like that. I truly do. But yeah, so of course, as always, the original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it yet for some reason. Corner video will lead to my film theory reaction. And with all that out of the way, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.